U.S. Senator Tim Kaine recently made a campaign stop at Mary Baldwin University in Stanton. During a Q&A session, a student asked the senator about campaigning with Hillary Clinton.
Just seeing and talking to people about their challenges. So many of them were so similar to things I'd heard in Virginia. That was kind of comforting.
Senator Kaine was surrounded by more than 70 students who asked a variety of questions, but the most popular inquiry was about his run for vice presidency.
Hi, I'm Morgan.
Hey, Morgan.
So the day after Trump was elected, the campus was very sad. I don't think I've ever seen so many heartbroken people in my life. And the past couple of years has just been awful. There's a lot of minority groups on this campus. So a lot of these policies and the things he says really impact us. And so some days it's really hard to just see any hope. And I guess how would you say that we should keep our heads up, because it's really difficult when all of these things keep happening.
This is a real good one. I mean, I was depressed. But I was disappointed, but I'm not afraid. I mean, the way to look at this is 66 million people who voted for Hillary Clinton were disappointed. There's a subset of that 66 million who are personally afraid. I'm not personally afraid. I think the job of the disappointed is to have the backs of the afraid. So that's been my motivation since the day I walked back in and said, okay, I'm down, but now I got a real clear motivation for my job, which is I need to battle to protect people who are afraid. And I am not pessimistic about the end of this chapter. To be honest, it has been a painful chapter, and I'll be blunt, there's going to be more pain. It's not like November 6th, if it works out our way, oh great, fine, now everything will be smooth sailing. No, I think there's more pain in this chapter. However, I do think that the chapter is going to have a positive end, and the positive end is going to be because of popular engagement at every level. We have checks and balances in our system, but none of them work if people aren't engaged. None of them work. If people don't care enough to stand up for an independent judiciary doesn't matter that much. If people don't care enough to stand up for a free press, then a free press doesn't matter that much. If people don't care enough to participate as voters in congressional elections, then the Article I branch doesn't matter that much. The only thing that really makes the checks and balances work is participation.
The Virginia senator warned voting and encouraging others to vote is essential to winning elections.
And look, one of the critiques of 2016 is a whole lot of people decided not to participate. And I've had conversations with many of them, and they've expressed some level of regret about that. And so then the question is, okay, if you want to be hopeful, then what's the evidence that participation is coming back strong? We'll give you a lot of evidence. When the Women's March has more people than the inauguration, when you see Black Lives Matter, the Me Too movement, the Parkland Kids, March for Our Lives, when you see spontaneous activity, like after President Trump announced the Muslim travel ban, nobody knew he was going to do it at 5 o'clock that Friday. But spontaneously people turn out to airports all over the country to stand at the arrival zone and welcome people coming in and saying, we are not anti-Muslim, we're not anti-immigrant, this isn't who we are. That is powerful. What we saw in Virginia last year. Virginia had statewide races last year, so for the 3 statewide offices in the entire lower house. Swept statewide offices for Democrats, including elected in the second African-American ever statewide elected in Virginia, Justin Fairfax, the LG. But the thing that was really interesting in Virginia is in the House of 100, we picked up 15 seats, which was the biggest gain we had made since 1872.
I got a chance to question the senator more about the 2016 presidential election.
I get it. 66 million people are really disappointed. But we have a system, and the only way to guarantee that you're going to get a result that you want is participation. So I think at the end of the day, the cure for it is vigorous participation. What we're seeing so far, the election's 8 days away, but in registration and early voting, and what we saw in Virginia last year, what we're seeing suggests that there's more engagement and participation, but we'll know more at 7 o'clock on November 6th.
So you're expecting the blue wave to roll through?
I've been telling people, you might have heard me say this yesterday, I believe the best thing for the country would be a blue wave, but what I really think the country needs right now is a wave of compassion and decency and integrity and character and community. That's what we need to counter some of the negativity and division that we're seeing from the top.
The former civil rights attorney says he agrees with the federal court, which found 11 Virginia delegate districts unconstitutional. The day before the court ordered deadline for the delegates to redraw the district lines, Senator Kaine had this to say.
Glad the court reached that ruling and put it back on the legislature to try to come up with a better plan. The Voting Rights Act and other rules that regulate districts, they try to protect sort of one person equals one vote and not allow plans that dilute minority vote. When the court makes that finding, they don't make it lightly, and that means that they really found it to be an egregious plan. Now, the court asked the legislature to come up with a better one. The legislature's not able to, so the court's going to redraw the districts as a proposal, submit it to the public for comment, and then come up with a final rule so that when the legislative elections are next year, everybody knows what the fairer districts are.
He admits he's vigorously campaigning.
I am exhausted but filled with energy because it's 8 days away. So I have really enjoyed being out on the trail all over the state, and we're working real hard. And we've been back to the Shenandoah Valley communities a lot. But I feel good, but we take nothing for granted.
Mary Baldwin University campus police has some concerns about one student who stood out in the crowd with his President Donald Trump "Make America Great Again" hat. Later, the Republican student questioned the Democratic senator as Kaine was leaving.
Division expressed from the top, bad things happen, and I want to see leaders who are really focused on unity and bringing people together. Whatever their party, it's got to be about unity. So, yeah, all right.
In Stanton, Elaine Rackley for Breaking Through News.